So, the French are out again insulting the British. Why? Over Brexit, as usual. So this is the Minister for European Affairs from France, who has decided to go slightly personal. Which is interesting because between 2016 and 2019, during the withdrawal agreement negotiations, the European Union were very good at playing poker, didn't show their cards. Now they're desperate because they know they only have a few months left to survive. For those of you who've been keeping up to date with this channel, you know how we mentioned that a week ago the transition period, obviously we discovered that the extension to it is not going to happen, which means it's forcing both sides to finally deliver a clean Brexit. The only option on the table is a Canada-style trade deal based on WTO terms. Now, the only thing left is just the details and all these red lines. They're still kicking off over fisheries, and we're going to talk about this in this video. But it seems to be unlikely that we'll get stuck into this trap again like we did under Theresa May. So let's see what this woman has said, because she has now said that the UK is weak and will not survive a no-deal Brexit. Yeah, because apparently the UK is damaged, according to her, and there will be a massive shock. Well, which is not really true, though, because it's, as we've said many times, it's a lot easier to manage one country in a no-deal situation as a scenario, as opposed to having 27 countries centrally managed from Brussels. So you guys will be in trouble. We'll be fine, and we are also already in negotiations with other countries to have trade deals. So calm down. Now, she was speaking to Europe One and said that those who need a deal the most are the British. Well, that's a lie, because you need it more than we need it. As we said, we'll be fine as one country, one nation. We will not give in to this kind of calendar pressure. Calendar pressure. To this final sprint that the British want to impose on us, hoping that we will give in. You do realise this wasn't our idea. This was part of the withdrawal agreement to have 1 year transition. It was your idea. We agreed to it, and essentially both sides gave a green light. Don't pretend that it was the British idea to randomly impose a calendar pressure, or whatever that means. So idiotic. She said, we don't want a deal for a deal, whatever that is. We want an agreement, but we want a balanced agreement, a good agreement, a protective agreement. You know what that means, right? That means a protectionist agreement, because the European Union are not a trading bloc, they're an anti-free trade protectionist bloc, we know that. And she has insisted that the ties binding the EU to Britain will not be severed because of Brexit. But she insisted that the bloc wants to ensure a future deal protects both sides. That's also another lie. You don't want to protect us, you just want to protect yourselves. And somebody has to go out there and actually say this. This is why I'm very happy to have David Frost as our chief negotiator. He's very strong and stable. So, the interesting thing is, she's also added that I'm excluding nothing, but we have a clear mandate. Well, no, you don't. We are going to protect our industries, our fishermen, and our farmers. Michel Barnier has a mandate given by the 27 countries who have said that, very calmly, what we require not to win, not so that the British lose, but to have a balanced relationship. It's not a balanced relationship if you want to have free access to UK waters and to overly subsidize your farming industry against ours. This is not the level playing field that you keep talking about. This is unfair. And again, she's showing the desperation that's coming from France, especially because Michel Barnier has been struggling with Macron. Barnier has already given in. He's kind of essentially said, yes, the UK are not going to give access to their waters. Macron is not accepting this. So Barnier is trying to help, it's just not working. And but there's also, again, according to the Express, there is a chance that Michel Barnier could cave to UK fishing stance soon, but obviously there will be a cost. And a lot of people have said from day one that this fisheries stuff, just like the Northern Irish protocol and the whole border, the Irish border, they don't actually necessarily care. They want to use these as an excuse to get their other demands put in. And yeah, so then they might ask us to make payments, or they might ask us to go with the level playing field. But again, as I said, I fully trust David Frost, our chief negotiator, to not fall into this trap again, like Theresa May. For those of you who don't know how this fisheries stuff works, so it is kind of fascinating how they pretend to be internationalist and pro-trade. So EU ministers negotiate every year over the volume that can be caught from each species in the waters. National quotas are divided up using historical data that goes back nearly 50 years. The UK fishing industry has maintained that it's got a bad deal. And according to the BBC, parts of the British quota have been sold off to boats from elsewhere in the EU. And well, yeah, it's been going on for a number of years. This is why it was a massive deal during the EU referendum campaign. And the Remainers never understood the point of it. Now, this means that more than 60% of the fish in British waters are caught by foreign boats. 60%. That's more than half, obviously. So on Wednesday, Ursula von der Leyen told the European Parliament, that fake fantasy parliament, that no one questions the UK's sovereignty over its own waters, but we ask for predictability, and we ask for guarantees for fishermen and fisherwomen. I like how that she had to kind of differentiate between the genders, who have been sailing in those waters for decades. Yeah, you've been sailing in those waters for no reason. Stop doing that. These are weird demands that these people have. And she said that having spoken to the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, on Monday, she has insisted that the EU was prepared to compromise. There we go. We knew this. It's about to come. It's about to happen. Then eventually they're going to have to give up on this. And we know that. Now, France is not the only country kicking off and insulting us. Germany, the former ambassador to the UK, is lashing out over Brexit. He is now saying that they never understood our mentality in London. Maybe that's your problem. Your system and your structure is too complicated and too bureaucratic. So yeah, a former German ambassador to the UK has lashed out at the UK's interpretation of Brexit talks with the EU and accused the government of never really understanding how the European bloc works. Do you know how it works? Don't think you do. So he said that especially since Germany will take over the EU presidency in the second half of the year when Brexit finally is coming up, the British always tended to personalize things. That's not how the EU works. They never really understood that in London. Well, considering all the demands that came from London over the past few decades, with Schengen, with everything else, with Euro, you agreed to it. Yeah, we kicked off. We wanted to protect our sovereignty. But again, you guys said yes because you wanted to keep us. You wanted our money. And now you're complaining. Why are you complaining? So they know that, again, what he's basically saying is that Germany's in charge. Don't forget about us. We're in charge of the EU. So at this point, I still think that there will be some sort of deal, but it will be based on WTO terms, and they'll have to make a lot of compromises. I still hopefully won't see any weird compromises from the UK side. So this is one good thing the government is doing at this point with everything else going on in the country. So well done, guys. Keep going. Now, you don't hear any of this in the mainstream media, in the BBC or Sky News. Now, the BBC are concerned about other issues. The BBC are concerned about statues. They've done literally a segment called "How do you replace a fallen statue?" I'll tell you how. You pick it up and you put it right back where it was. Yeah, and then you clean it, actually, to make sure it's... What is wrong with these people? Like, there are all these important things going on in the world, and the BBC are concerned about fallen statues, and they want to replace them. Guys, how do we do it? Should we replace it with a Sadiq Khan statue? Why not? Yeah, stop doing this. This is exactly why we are against the BBC and against the TV tax on this channel. As you know, you can't see it. I'm wearing my Defund the BBC t-shirt. Again, you can't see it. There we go. Every day I try the same thing, but there we go. Defund the BBC by definition means cancelling your TV license and watching my Tousi instead. You could find the link in the description. It's not just black, it's different colors. Check it out. Get your t-shirts. The summer's coming. You need t-shirts, otherwise you'll be hot. Now, Thanks again for joining today. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you're not new, if you haven't joined us as a member to get the premium content, you can check out the link in the description. It's youtube.com/mytc/join. We have extra content. We have Q&As with the members. We have Zoom video calls coming up next Tuesday. It's our first Zoom video call with the premium members. And also you guys will get priority access to a number of other things. So feel free to support the channel and get benefits in return. I'm MyTC. I'll see you guys tomorrow with a new video.